Looking back, could have probably went to the hose and got some water. Wished 1,000 times I had them. But I still have to believe each day that regardless of my past, it has led me to here. It has led me to where I am today. I'm comfortable with that today. I can accept that today. So one of the guys said, hey, we got some Coors Light. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, it could be whatever. And he said, here, have one of these. So he pitches me one. Ice cold, never drank a beer, never done anything like that. And drank the first one just like really fast, realized somebody had left the sugar out of it. But, you know, I mean, it's like you get another one, and about the time the second one started going down, I wasn't hurting on the inside. I was going through some difficult things at the time, and I was kind of brokenhearted, and I started feeling okay on the inside. That thing in a silver can was fixing something inside of me that I was struggling with, and so the third beer came, and it was like, you know, I was so uplifted, and it changed the way I felt. It changed the way I looked at things around me at the time. It was a spiritual experience. It was what alcohol was doing, what it was intended to do. Now, I didn't recognize that at the time. I didn't have any respect for alcohol. Obviously, I'm looking at it like it's a Mountain Dew. It's quenching my thirst. It's doing that. And all of a sudden, and at that moment, I didn't know that then, but looking back and working with lots of guys that in the programs of recovery, I started to see, I went back in my life and doing this inventory that was part of the spiritual principles of a program, and looking back, and I really wanted to know where I came from, but that's where I noted that alcohol did something for me that I couldn't find anywhere else. I wasn't happy living where we were living, and a job opportunity came up, and so I went to, now, let me back up a minute. The next morning I got up, late for work for the first time, had a great job, never been late for work, totally sick, felt like death. And was going to go anyway, and immediately consequences from that evening before were all over me. I'm not an alcoholic, okay? I don't drink that way. I'm not an active drinker. But so I knew that this was this is not how you handle life on life's terms. I'm not going to do this anymore. What I didn't know is that years and years and years and years to come in my life, when something like that would go on in my life, my brain would say, Coors Light and a silver can. It fixes the stuff that you're not happy with inside. And I didn't make that choice. I didn't want to become an alcoholic. No one gets up in the morning at the age of 19 and says, you know what, I think I'm just going to become an alcoholic today. I think I'm going to become addicted to drugs. I'm just going to pick one, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to ride this thing out for 35 years until it kills me. And then maybe I will find God. That is not how sin works. Sin in my life is pretty. It's shiny and new. It looks like a new job. It looks like more money for my family. It looks like it's not ugly. Sin does not start out ugly. The thing that it doesn't show you is the repercussions. The thing about, I'm going to jump around a little bit, okay? As I talk, you can just put this thing together however you feel it needs to go in your life. I've never gotten up here and told the same story. I hope that I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I hope that I am a better person this morning than I was yesterday. I always have room to grow. When I do that inventory at night, I find faults in myself. I find faults in my life. They don't separate me from my relationship with God, because I don't have time for that to happen. It's only a 24-hour span, and I take care of those things. A lot of times at night, I've had to send someone a text to apologize for something that I felt like was my fault or I had a part in. Whatever it takes, that's what I need to do to make sure that when I get up in the morning, I'm taking a good, clean Rick Earwood, a spiritual-minded Rick Earwood into that day so that I can see God's vision. I, too, a few years ago, prayed for God's vision, and that's the most important thing that I can do. Because if I'm asking God for His vision, it allows me to start to accumulate some faith. It allows me to start to grow toward what God's will truly is for me as a person, what I'm going to be doing here on earth for that day. Back to the job opportunity came. New Mexico, I went to work for Exxon, and for about a month, offshore, got promoted to Odessa, Texas, went from Odessa, Texas to Roswell, New Mexico, took a great job, got away from Alabama. I'm thinking, well, it's, this is how we'll do it. I'm getting this up. But what happened was, my mom would call me 2 or 3 times a week. Have you got you a church yet, son? Are you going to church somewhere? Every, yes, mother, I'm looking. I wanted to. Okay, I thought I wanted to, but it never happened. And even to the point where they didn't have the right religion in Roswell. That was what I ended up telling her, was it? I'm focused now on, I'm given this opportunity to prove myself. So I'm going into this this world that I don't know about, and I become fully engulfed in self-will, free will. I will get back to church later. Little did I know it would be 36 years. That was not my plan. My plan was to become successful, become something that you would like to see and walk down the street, have some stuff like my uncles and my dad, and eventually get back into church when I feel like I can help you guys. And that never worked out. So I become less and less, and then when one of these, I wasn't drinking, I didn't do any drugs until I was probably 30 years old. And the things that alcohol did for me, that's what separated me from God. That was my sin. That was my thing that separated me from God, because instead of leaning on God like I do today, I leaned on something of the world. And I wasn't aware that was really what was going on. The problem is when I got into my late 20s, I began having these times when, you don't need to do this. I don't need to do this. I'm having moments of clarity where really I think it's that my spirit is drowning in self. My spirit is drowning and cannot, it's telling me, hey, whoa, slow down. This is not where you need to go. Something inside of me that was instilled in me from here when I was young was trying to come back up to the top. And I would have these moments of clarity, and here's what would happen. I wasn't aware of what alcohol and drugs does to the body, like the physical allergy. So I would have these, yes, that's what I need to do. I'm going to stop. I'm going to put together a plan. I'm going to stop. And I would stop drinking. And about the third morning, the body would say, hey, Brian, we didn't get the memo on this. You're fixing to pay for that decision in a very bad way. Your body is fixing to start hurting. It's going to convulse. You are going to sweat. You are going to see things that are not there. You are fixing to pay for that decision. By then, it's too late. I don't know anything about rehabs. I'm separated totally from God. I'm not in church. So, it's like I'm stuck now with these decisions. And after going through that for quite a while in my life, I began to build this wall up. I began to, it's disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, more alcohol, more drugs, more change the way I feel because I hate the things that are going on. I know my life is not good. I don't need anyone to tell me that. I already know. And the reason I'm telling you this is so that I know you have people in your life that have these issues. I know they are there. I want you to see what we feel, what the things that, it's not a moral issue. It's not a matter of whether I want to stop. It's not a matter of I don't want to let my father down. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. And it falls into a different category. It's, some of you understand, some of you don't. Some have been educated on it. Some are going through it this very moment. So I don't understand from minute to minute how I'm going to get out of this, but I know that I started it, so I was taught to finish things that you start. And I believe with all of my heart for the next 10 or 15 years that I'm going to be able to change something out here that's going to change me in here, and then everything is going to be okay. I have grounded the Holy Spirit inside of me, pushed all the way down into my feet, and I'm working on nothing but Rick Earwood power. And what happened is that as things become to unravel in my life, I start to build this wall up to keep these bad things out, things that affect the ones I love, my family. I'm still living this true life, I'm still trying to be the Boy Scout leader dad. The more I drink, the harder I work to not look like it. The hardest thing in the world is to know I'm going to this place, but I've got to be careful and not enjoy it too much because I don't want it to take away from the things that I love. And I'm still learning what that looks like today. Working with guys in recovery have taught me these things that I'm able to share with you today. And they are, of course, my own experiences. So we eventually it just, the problem with building this wall was that I'm building this wall to keep all of the bad stuff out of my life. I'm the one creating the bad stuff and not knowing. And I'm over here on this side of my brain struggling with life and my own disease. And on this side, I'm trying to be this other person. And meanwhile, as I'm building this wall, what I did not realize is that I was keeping the bad stuff out, but I also kept the good stuff out. I also kept the things out of my life that would help me eventually get over these things that I'm trying to block out. And the crazy thing is that once I became clean and sober for a minute, I found the very thing that I was looking for through alcohol. But I'd made that crossover into a relationship with God, not believing, hoping. I didn't know how to grow in effectiveness and understanding. I didn't know how to go about life, and I didn't understand where I was going because the faith has been slow for me. Faith has been slow for me. But I truly believe that God has given it to me as I can understand it. Because each day there's something different, and it starts to build. And no matter where you're at this morning, wherever you're at in your life, you're exactly where you need to be. And the most important thing is that you are here this morning. God works through us, and He's working through us today in this worship service. It got as bad as it could ever get. I'm burning through loved ones. I'm burning through marriages. I'm I'm not, I'm not done yet. I'm not desperate enough. So I'm still fighting. I don't know how to surrender. I'm scared if I do what it's going to look like. I'm full of fear. Fear at any human level blocks me from maturing, because the part of me that wants to do right is not as big as the part of me that can't do right. And that's the fear part. Fear, the conscience tells me, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go over here. You need to commit to it 100%. But I have never done that before. I've never been over there. And so I start toward that spiritual experience, and as I'm going that way, fear jumps in and goes, hey, this might not be comfortable. Have you ever done this before? Have you ever let God change your life? What if it doesn't happen? Then what are you going to look like? How are people going to judge you? How are they going to look at you? And I'm like, we can do this tomorrow. And I'll go back and I will sit on my couch where I'm comfortable, because that's where sin wants me to be. It wants me to feel like I can't live without it. So however you can relate to that, that's all I want you to see and feel the things that I am blessed to see and feel today. Like charges, I'm separate. I've actually moved my family away, and my children and my wife, and because I know that I'm going to die from this disease. I know I am. There's no doubt in my mind, and I don't want them to see that. And the moments of clarity are not very often. There's nothing but hopelessness and futility. There's nothing but pain, emotional pain, and eventually the alcohol and drugs stop working. That's the jumping off place, we call it. It's like I could see alcohol in a bottle of Lay's going across the sunset, going, see you later, buddy. What actually I know happened for me was at that moment of time when I had that in my life, that sin was done with me. I was literally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, absolutely done. And but the great thing is that God's redemption, which I'm learning so much about today, God's redemption was not done. Because I belonged to Him before, because He created me. And I didn't know that at the time, but all of a sudden, it's like when the evil left, it was like He comes, swoops in and grabs me. Now, it was going to get very painful, because here's what it looked like for me. It looked like I called 9 different facilities. I am on my dad's couch for a week. I am crawling to the bathroom, crawling back to the couch. I'm trying to call rehab places. No one will accept me because I don't have any money. And my dad was DONE done. He's like, no, sir, this is your spiritual experience. You're going to get to see, you're going to get to come from there, and you're going to get to see where God's going to take you. I don't want you to miss that, he said. I'm like, I am dying. I'm dying here. No, I mean, like, I'm settling my dad's estate still for it's been on 2 years. He had money, okay? He just didn't love me enough, I'm thinking to myself, and my kidneys and liver are shutting down. I walked around like this for a year. I thought that I would never do this and walk up like this. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I thought, well, I've hurt my back, because I was always falling out of stuff. I'm a total wreck, you know. I mean, you ever seen I put my last drunk was 7 years. 7 years. Every day. Not a sober breath. I wake up in the morning, my IQ is 135. By 10 a.m., it's 12. And it goes downhill from there. And so, getting to that point, there was this place that over in Huntsville that called Pathfinder that gave me a bed with no money down. And when we got to the place where my dad took me, we're walking up the steps, and I know Dad's not going to give me any money, you know. And Dad, he took as long as he could, you know. He got me to the step, and he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a $100 bill. Just as I'm about to get it, the director goes, "We don't need that." He said, "You'll be fine." I thought, hey, I'm not going to be fine, okay? I know what's coming. Next 16 days, off and on, I spend in Huntsville Hospital. I'm feeling hope. There was someone came into my dad's house the night before I decided that I wasn't going to do this anymore. And he said, "The problem is you don't have enough willpower." And I'm like, I cannot do this. I absolutely cannot do this. He's right. I do not have the willpower to beat this thing. Now, I don't know about the things that I'll get to tell people about today, about surrender, turn your life and care over to God, pray daily, inventory the bad things in your life and the things that you've been through, and let's work on those together. I have no idea what that means, but I'm starting to experience it. I go in and out of the hospital for that first 16 days. They won't release me to go to work, which I actually could not work. And then they put me in this room, right across from the bathroom. And for 7 days and 7 nights, I laid in this bed with no roommate, no radio, no TV, hurting, excruciatingly hurting pain. If you want to find out who God is, and if you want to find out what his vision is for you, take a week and go to a cheap hotel and lock yourself in there for a week and don't get out of that bed and find God, because that's what happened for me. Now, I didn't start going to church. I didn't have this great religious experience. It wasn't like that at all. But for the first time in my life, I made a commitment, not a promise, not a vow, a commitment to my Creator. I became one with my Creator that week, and I committed 100%, and I have not stopped that commitment since then. That's what tells me that time was real. There's all kinds of promises can be made and things can be asked, and it doesn't always work out that way. So I go through this program. I grab a guy that has already done this program, and I'm going to follow him and do everything he says. And then I get to 2017. I'm taking meetings into prisons once a week. I'm taking meetings to 5 different rehabs and halfway houses, one every night of the week. I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to do. I have a awesome relationship with God. I'm praying morning, noon, and day. I'm doing everything that I feel like God has given me the opportunity to. My dad, I would see him on the weekends. His health wasn't good. And he's telling me, I would come and tell him what I had done that week, share my experiences with him. And he's like, "That's good, son." He said, "You're doing some good things." He said, "But God's putting you in front of 300 to 500 men a week." And he said, "Why don't you just take them to Jesus?" And I'm like, because I don't know how to do that. That's what I'm thinking. Because the word Jesus has not come out of my mouth in 6 years. God, the actions of, having a relationship with God, changing my life together all together. But Jesus, and I don't own a Bible. And I'm like, my dad says, hey, check your faith. Check your faith. So someone sends me a friend request, a childhood friend of mine. And they say, where are you going to church? Been dodging that one. And I start feeling, because see, in my mind, those 6 years, my life was 95% complete. There was that small portion. I'm telling myself this, which is never good. There was that small portion that was not, religion, was not worship, was not being connected with God, getting the full effect like what we have here. And so, I'm like, she's like, I'll send you the phone number. You need to call this guy. And then it was Mike Wisnam. And so I call him, and tell him who I am. And he's like, oh, man, yeah, I know you. We grew up together in Ulako. I said, yeah, I already know that. So let's get to the church thing. And so he says, meet me on Wednesday night before, and let's get started on this thing. And you can go to Wednesday night Bible study with me. We ate at this restaurant. Mike says, I'll pay for everything. He says, I said, well, look, here's like, I'm scared to death. You hear me? I've been in church 36 years. I'm scared to death. I'm like, I know I need this. Yes, I'm trusting God. Maybe, but I'm going to go through with it. So I get in here. I said, okay, here's what I want, Mike. Big mistake. Here's what I want, Mike. I want to come in, sit about 3/4 of the way back. I want to get my Jesus on, and don't call on me to do anything in the service. That's my plan. Mike just giggles. He said, man, yeah, whatever you want, that's fine. He knew if he could get me in the door, I was doomed. Because God was working through Mike. It wasn't Mike. And this is not me. And it's never about us. It's never been about me. It's always been about God's plan. So about 3 weeks in, I realized I don't have a Bible. I'm on fire for the Lord. I mean, I'm praying all the way I'm 30 minutes away. I'm praying all the way to church in the morning. I'm praying all the way back, in tears on the way back from the service. Can't praise God in the service for crying. And I'm like, man, they have changed church. I told Mike at the door, I said, y'all really changed this thing. I've been calling 36 years, and they've changed it. And Mike's like, well, it could be you. Probably not. It could be all of us, but it's probably you. I'm like, yeah, it's always me, And so I'm going to church the third weekend, and I'm like, I've got to get a Bible. Get my own Bible. So I swing into Walmart, get me a $10 Bible. I'm buying into this thing, okay? You're getting me in here. And then like the fourth service, Chance Goodwin says, and I knew it was coming. Now, I'm praying with 500 people in recovery a week, but I'm having trouble praying at church. So as he, Chance says, we're going to ask Rick to do our closing prayer. I just start falling apart. I thought I was actually going to pass out because, see, my ego wants you to like me. My pride wants you to think that I'm okay. And what my problem is I'm trying to fix the world from the outside in instead of the inside out. So I'm finally learning how to do that. Mike, I'm 3 months into this church experience, and Mike calls me on the phone. I'm in my living room. Now, here's what had been transparent. I come out with I've been diagnosed with cancer. I'm in a relationship that is not biblical. I cannot stay in. I'm getting tired of being preached at every Sunday. You know, it's like I'm wearing this white cloth and everyone else is normal, and he's talking directly to me. And, of course, these are my own fears. And I'm living in a house down by the lake. It's a $500,000 house. And I know the day is coming that I'm in a hunting club where guys expect me to be there on Sunday. I have things to do on Wednesday and Sunday. I've never planned to be a part of a church on Wednesday and Sunday. I've got all these things going on, and I've made this commitment, and I'm sticking with it. But man, my life it's getting worse. You know, they're telling me I have 40% chance to live for the first year, and with this cancer thing, and now I'm going to have to move out of this great situation I'm in, knowing all the time I'm completely miserable. And so it's been my experience that being faithful does not always look or feel great. And I think it's that way for a reason. I know it has been for me. So I move in. I had to sell my business. I've got $1 million contracts I'm counseling because I've got to concentrate on living for a while. 2 years. I'm like, the thing about faith is that I can proclaim faith all day long, but I really don't know I have it until I absolutely need it. That's when I find out if I really have faith. So as I'm going through those times, I'm still doing the deal. You know, when I went through that rehab in Huntsville, I told the counselor that I would take the first job that came along. And the first job that came along paid $8 an hour. Now, I'm a thief, okay? That's what I learned to do in the last days of my addiction. And I take this $8 an hour job. Every day I went to work, I said, today they are going to appreciate me, and they're going to give me that raise. Well, I had rose in a year. The diesel engines that were going out of Navstar, I was the last guy that inspected them. I'm making 20% of what everyone in the plant is, and they've got me at the most important job, and I'm making $8 an hour. But I'm starting to understand, you know, like that job, that $8 an hour job has done more for me in the last 11 years than anything else. It showed me that, you know, God was the reason why I didn't get a raise. You know, because if I'd have ever got 1 inch moving toward the way I want things to go, it would have been over with. So God has played so many parts in my life. I guess I need to wrap it up here. So how many, well, I'll finish the one about that. Mike calls me from the airport, and he says, I need you to do my adult class on Wednesday night. And I mean, just like, it was torturous. I jump up off the couch, I'm like, no, man, look, we had a deal. Look, you're not holding up to your end of the deal. I'm telling you, I'm not going to do that. I'm just starting to pray, I'm just starting to do this thing. He said, Rick, this is not about you. Surely you know that by now. And he said, I said, I don't know any. I just bought a Bible, Mike. I don't even know. Everyone in that church knows more about this than I do. And he said, I said, what do you want me to do the class on? He said, what's your strong point? I said, my relationship with God. He said, sounds great. I'll talk to you when I get back. And he hangs up. And I haven't forgiven him for it yet. But and that's what you guys do for me. So today, everyone has a story. I think all the time, if Beltline was the only church the only church in the world, how well would we be doing? Would we be as hungry for the works of God and sharing the message of Christ? Would we be as hungry if we knew we were the last ones? And I ask myself that a lot. And there's a myth that there are certain people in the church that are just better at things than others. And that is not true. That is not true. Visiting homeless people, visiting the sick, praying for people, taking food to people, sharing the gospel with people, all those things we are equipped with. My challenge to you is, how much do you want of that? How much do you want to be? What are you going to invest a lot with me on this journey? That's what I'm looking for today. I'm looking for, and I love your faces. I talk to you guys. I call you guys. I discuss my life with you guys. You are my resource for life and my journey with Christ. Are we, like, how many times a day do you share the gospel with another person? 7 days a week. How many days do you tell people about what God has done in your life? It's a challenge. We can meet the challenge together. I know we can. I see it in you guys. I feel it every Sunday. My Sunday consists of 8 to 8. I come down here and I'm doing something for God all day long, and I go home that night. 6 days a week, I'm looking for God's vision. I know that there's something going on, and I have to be a part of it. It's God's plan, and we have to meet that. We have to meet that need. We have awesome guys, new guys coming in here. Our Next Steps initiative. It's amazing to be a part of that. It's a lot of work, but people ask me a lot, like, when do you do things that you want to do? Are you kidding me? Have you seen my life? I mean, I've never had a life this good. God has given me this today. He's given me all of you guys. So let's close with a prayer. Father God, we love you so much, Lord. We're so thankful for this opportunity in this men's worship service. I just ask, Father, that you would move these guys, move them closer to you, challenge us, Lord, on a daily basis. Help us to use each other as resources to become closer and to do your work. Just ask, Father, that you would bless this service, the rest of it. Thank you for all these men that you put into my life today. Thank you for this opportunity to get up here and hopefully to share some things that would help them in their lives to come. Continue to bless us and forgive us of our sins and our shortcomings. We ask this through your precious Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen.